Good evening, Chair. Calls to order Special Legislative Session Day 24-034. I would ask you to please stand for the pledge, followed by the opening prayer by Councilmember Bennett. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, thank you for having us together this evening as we prepare to enter the new year. We pray for clarity, for continuity, and for community. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Agenda item number 4, new business, Democratic Central Committee, Council District A nominees. Council, we're here tonight as a result of the Council District A vacancy. The events that brought us to this vacancy are extremely disappointing and unfortunate, not only for this council, but for the entire county. In accordance with Section 209 of the Harford County Charter, the Harford County Democratic Central Committee met on December 18, 2024, to review applications from interested candidates to fill this vacancy. At the conclusion of that meeting, a list of their nominees for the Council District A vacancy was hand-delivered to the council office. I want to thank Chairperson Gibbons for his immediate response and professionalism throughout this entire process. The 3 names selected by the Harford County Democratic Central Committee were Ms. Nolanda Robert, Ms. Heather Cantos, and Mr. Zach Frink. This evening, in accordance with the same practice at the Central Committee, each will have 3 minutes to address the council, followed by possible questions from council members. At this time, Ms. Robert, if you would come forward, Ms. Cantos, Mr. Zink, if you would come forward, or Frink, I'm sorry. If you would, Ms. Robert, sit on one of the ends, please. Ms. Cantos in the center. And before we get started, I want to thank you on behalf of this entire council for your interest and for your time and efforts that you are looking to invest in representing the citizens of District A. I know that you had some people at the Central Committee meeting the night that you all spoke, but tonight your constituents in District A, nearly 45,000, will have an opportunity to hear you and see you, many who have maybe not met you in the past. So I think it's important for us to be transparent, to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to be seen and heard. And with that, Ms. Robert, I'd like to start with you.
Sure.
And again, will be 3 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, County Council members, Council President Vanzetti, friends, and guests. My name is Nolanda Robert, and I am honored to stand before you today to express my commitment to serving on the Harford County Council. With over 30 years of experience advocating for underserved communities, creating impactful programs, and managing resources, I understand our community's challenge, especially in District A. In 2022, I ran for office. I knocked on doors, I conducted outreach, and connected with voters over a year.
Ms. Robert, pull that mic to you a little closer, please.
Sure. Although I lost in the primary by a narrow margin, the experience reinforced my dedication to serving the community and addressing the unique needs. During my 18 years working in the courts, primarily in Cecil County, I managed budgets exceeding over $500,000 and secured grants to fund critical community programs. I know that every dollar in our county budget must be used wisely, equitably, and strategically to foster long-term growth. I have assisted on committees within the judiciary to support laws passed regarding domestic violence, custody and divorce, and child welfare. A vision for District A is economic growth and sustainability. I see incredible potential for economic growth through small businesses, ownership, and entrepreneurship. When small businesses thrive, the entire community benefits, and therefore Harford County sees economic growth through increased revenue and job creation. I understand the budget constraints mean we cannot fully fund every initiative, but we can ensure that every initiative receives fair and meaningful support, such as improved transportation to connect residents to employment and resources, increased school funding to provide better opportunities for our children, mental health services and addiction recovery programs to support struggling families, affordable housing initiatives to offer stability, and enhanced school safety measures to protect our children and educators. As Vice Chair of the Harford County Democratic Club, a member of the Harford County Mental Health and Substance Abuse Advisory Council, and a board member of the Harford County NAACP, I've advocated for resource equity and social justice. Additionally, my leadership role as president of the Maryland chapter of the Association of Family and Conciliation Courts and co-chair of its national organization's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Committee have equipped me with the skills to navigate complex systems, advocate effectively, and deliver measurable results. I am ready to bring my decades of experience in budget management, program development, and advocacy to the Harford County Council. Together, we can address our challenges, unlock economic opportunities, and build a stronger, more inclusive, and a sustainable future for District A and all of Harford County.
Thank you, Ms. Robert. Ms. Cantos, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, Council President and Council members. Thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening. My name is Heather Cantos, and I'm honored to seek your appointment to represent District A on the Harford County Council. I'm a longtime community activist and currently work in the County Council Administration as a legislative aide. I have lived, worked, and raised my family in District A, forming deep ties to our community. I'm a graduate of Harford Community College and the Harford Leadership Academy. I bring the unique experience of having worked with the County Council for the last 2 years. In my time here, I have developed good working relationships with our county council members and their aides, the rest of the staff, and the directors of various county departments. In my position, I have assisted in reading and drafting legislation, navigating budget cycles and community engagement, advised the council member on policy strategies, and acted as a direct liaison for constituents to address their concerns. I am grateful to Councilman Bennett for the way he has run his office, allowing me to be an invested partner in his work. Because of this, I have knowledge of the county council operations that will allow me to hit the ground running and be an effective leader from day one, navigating the upcoming budget and comprehensive rezoning processes. Beyond my professional experience, I've also cultivated partnerships and connections through my volunteer work as a grassroots organizer, allowing me to mobilize resources, organize community cleanups, and advocate for meaningful change, including legislation at all levels of government. This is evidenced by all the support I have received by way of letters of recommendation from people of all different backgrounds, political parties, and experiences. If appointed, I will prioritize the following: community development and neighborhood revitalization, collaborating with the Southern County Task Force to advocate for addressing the needs of our District A neighbors through funding like community development block grants, for essential upgrades such as improving dangerous footbridges and making parks and playgrounds safer and more useful to residents. Livability, I would revisit the recently updated livability code to ensure that it enforces timely repairs and better protections for tenants. Economic development and job creation, I would meet with business owners to address empty storefronts, encourage participation in new opportunities like the Edgewood Farmers Market, and look for incentives for businesses to improve their facades. Public safety and infrastructure, I would advocate for the timely construction of the Joppatown Community Center, expanding pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure and transportation enhancements to get people around the district and between districts more efficiently. Environmental protection and sustainability, protecting Abingdon Woods from distribution centers to keep truck traffic off of Abingdon Road and enhancing public access to a clean Bush River will be key priorities to preserve our natural resources. Public access to waterways and environmental stewardship, I would work to ensure the Bush River is cleaner, safer, and more accessible to the public. Smart growth and zoning, I would look into inconsistencies that have led to more comprehensive rezoning requests from the Joppatown area and to new ideas to revitalize areas that are often forgotten. I am ready to hit the ground running, leveraging my experience with the County Council and my relationships in the community, as well as my passion for service to make a meaningful impact from day one. Together, we can create a thriving and sustainable future for District A. Thank you for considering my nomination, and thank you to everyone who agreed to support me with a letter of recommendation. No matter who is chosen, I will continue my advocacy and service to District A and continue to earn your trust and respect. I look forward to working with all of you to serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cantos. Mr. Frank?
Good evening, council members. My name is Zach Frink. I'm here because my professional and personal background in communications, advocacy, and political organizing make me an ideal fit to represent and serve District A. I grew up in Harford County, and most of my family is in the area. After graduating from college, I moved out of Maryland for several years. I moved back to Maryland during the height of the pandemic. During the pandemic, I lost my job, caught COVID myself, and multiple members of my family died from COVID. I got to the point where I was tired of being angry while reading and watching the news. The pandemic made me spring into action. I started being more plugged into the community and set down roots. Today, I am a homeowner with my fiance. We also recently welcomed our daughter. I want to serve on the county council to ensure that Harford remains a place where I can raise my family. I have previously worked in local news as a producer, public relations, communications consulting, community organizing, and as a union organizer. I also check the boxes for leadership, building coalitions, and project management skills. My accomplishments include leading a statewide coalition focused on drug decriminalization, organizing community members to conduct research meetings with legislators in the Maryland General Assembly, building a community organization in Harford from the ground up. I have also formed a union at my workplace as a regular employee. Working as a union organizer, I have played a part in successfully organizing several other workplaces. I have taken time to talk with council members and staff. The recurring theme I've heard from everyone is the need to improve in communication. My background in communications has prepared me for this challenge. My experience includes working in local news as a producer, working in public relations for school districts and city governments. I have co-founded a media outlet and served as its first editor-in-chief. I have provided communications consulting services for small businesses and nonprofits. I have also served as a communications manager for a successful campaign for city council. My background in communications ensures I will be able to inform, educate, and engage voters in District A and the rest of Harford. And let's be real, I'm not going to agree all the time with every county council member. When that time arises, I promise to hear out my colleagues, find common ground, and see if we can work towards a compromise. Regardless of our political party, we have a lot more in common that unites us than divides us. Even if I don't get appointed, I still plan on being engaged in the community and organizing towards the common good. I want to help improve District A and the rest of Harford, whether I'm a public official or not. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, sir. And while I'm at it, let me thank each of you for the time that you spent with me, the resumes that were forwarded over, the ones that you also delivered with you. I appreciate you taking the time, and more than anything, appreciate your interest in serving. At this time, I'm going to open the floor up to the council members. Mr. Bennett.
Hello, good evening, good to see you and be with you. I was telling Council President earlier, it's kind of unique because I know all three of you, which is nice for me because it's good to know no matter what, there'll be someone on the other end I call a friend. But I have a few questions for you all this evening, mostly rooted in the lessons I've learned in the past 2 years. And the first thing I've come to realize is that while this is labeled a part-time job, it is incredibly time-intensive, and it can be time-intensive in strange ways. You know, a Wednesday night, you're out till 10:30. A Saturday morning, you're out at 7:30. It can be odd hours. It can be, a midday meeting at 11 o'clock with, so a lot of demands on your time. And for all three of you, how do you envision when you jump into this role in a week, having this work for your current schedule and life demands? And you can just go in whatever order.
For me, I own my own business, which is for therapy, and I also contract with a company. So I am my own sole proprietor, and so therefore I make my own schedule so I can maneuver a lot of different things. So I'm ready to take on that responsibility in that way.
So I am familiar with all of the demands, late nights, Tuesday nights, serving on committees and boards. I do attend the Citizens Care Board meetings regularly. There are evening boards, there are daytime boards. I'm aware that there are weekend requirements, and it all fits very well into my schedule. That's it.
Yes, thank you for your question, Councilman Bennett. So I currently work as a union organizer, and my job also entails working odd hours. I have to talk with workers wherever they're at, whenever they're at. So there's already been times where I've worked a late shift or really early or middle of the day. So luckily, I have a pretty flexible schedule. I can make my schedule however I need to. And so this would definitely be something I can fit into my already odd hours.
Thank you. My second question, obviously, it's obvious to say that being attached to the community you represent is important, but I don't know if I truly appreciated how important it was until I was in the role. And I realized just how much it matters to be your feet on the ground in your district. For you, representing District A, what are your current routes to the district? Where are the places and people you are already connected to? And then do you have any perspective on who are the people and what are the organizations you'll need to grow in connection to as you jump into the role to help you represent and support the entire district? And maybe go in opposite directions since Nolanda had to go first last time.
Yeah. So I'm from Harford. I didn't grow up and was raised in District A. I grew up in District F, actually, in Belcamp. But lived here most of my life. Most of my family's from here. I've played high school sports and travel ball against people from Edgewood and Joppa. I know a lot of people from high school and college that live in the District A area. I also own a house in District A. I also intend to raise my daughter in District A. So, I definitely have a long-term outlook. And in terms of getting to know groups, I mean, did you want, specific names or?
Yeah, if you know of, the organizations, the places, the people that you think are really important and relevant to your district.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a county council person, we have to cast a very wide net. So whether that includes political organizations, nonprofits, community-based groups, small businesses, mutual aid groups, unions, whoever, I've always been the kind of person to jump feet first, or dive feet first into, getting to know the community in Hartford and getting to know people. So that wouldn't be an issue for me either.
I have volunteered extensively in Edgewood. I run the Adopt a Road and Adopt a Park program on Brookside Drive next to the community center. I have volunteered with the PTA at Old Post Road Elementary School. I volunteered with the NAACP. I volunteered with the Cub Scouts Pack 810 at St. Francis de Sales Church. I live in Long Bar Harbor neighborhood of District A. The only place I don't have as strong a connection to is Joppatown. My in-laws live in Joppatown, and I lived in Joppatown for a period of time, but I would like to meet some of the community groups that work specifically out of Joppatown. And I have partnered with the 755 Alliance on community cleanups, dumpster days, bulk trash pickups, cleaning up Lake Serene, partnered with the health department, several of the legislators. I think that's it.
So for me, I've lived in.
Need a microphone.
Oh, this microphone. For me, I've lived in Harford County for a little over 7 years at this point in time. I was not even a Maryland resident. I came from West Philadelphia, and college brought me down to Maryland, and I just never went back to Philadelphia. So just to let you know. And for me, I volunteered for some churches, doing some food drives. In my previous job, had little time to get to know a lot of the organizations and volunteer. So now that I am having my own business, I am able to get out and about more. I'm one of those people that will figure out what I need to do, who I need to meet with, and who I need to talk to, what organizations, what unions, what businesses, and what they would like to see happen in District A. I do know some of the local businessmen. I also know some of the churches, and just kind of getting out there and doing some more work with them.
Thank you. And one last question. We as a council were emailed by Mr. Courtney Jenkins, the president of the Metro Baltimore AFL-CIO, which is a big umbrella that a lot of our local unions fall under. And, you know, it's kind of been a big time for that in Harford County with our community college faculty organizing, with our library workers organizing, with our county employees really having rejuvenation in their efforts to be present in our processes. I'm just curious for you all, as a council member, how do you perceive that relationship between you and our local unions that represent our county employees developing, and how do you see that relationship informing the work that you do as a council member?
I'll go first this time. I know that I have a weakness with unions. I'm not familiar with all of the unions. I have not been in a union. I have spoken with Mr. Jenkins several times. We've met a couple times. I'd be happy to lean on him for information. I know Councilman Bennett is a good resource, and Councilman Penman are good resources for union information. And I think it would affect, especially during the budget cycle, how the county has to organize with the unions for collective bargaining. But I think I have good resources that I could lean on that to learn more.
Well, yeah, so I am a union organizer, so I am familiar with Mr. Jenkins. You know, I believe in the power of organized labor and how it is necessary to have unions to make sure that people get the pay, sick time, vacation time, benefits, health care, consistent hours, all the stuff they need from their jobs. So yes, I strong believer in unions. I definitely am open to working with Mr. Jenkins, other union leaders in our area, with you, Councilman Bennett, Councilman Penman. And of course, I had to say this as a union organizer, I also support the right to organize. So whether it is county employees or even in the private sector. Like on my job, I had previously probed at different locations, I should say scouted, better term, scouted locations in Harford County. So one of my priorities for being on the county council will be increasing union density in Harford.
So I would say I would definitely be talking to Mr. Jenkins. I know a little bit about unions. I know what they can do. I think that they are a positive thing for people who are in businesses. And I think that they give the benefits for those that are with unions. I have worked with people who have not been a part of a union, who wish they were in unions, and see the difference of what a union person gets versus a non-union person gets. And so if it's for the betterment of the people, I would definitely work with the union members. I sort of like Heather, it's not my thing that I've ever had to work with. I know with personally, my husband, the police unions, they have their own thing, but that's about as much of the unions that I know formally.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Mr. Penman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have any questions, just some comments, and I also want to thank the Democratic Central Committee for working so diligently and fast and providing 3 great candidates for us to decide on. I want to thank each of you for putting your name in the hat. It's not an easy process. It takes away from your family. It's a lot of stress, so it's a family commitment as well. I had the pleasure of getting to know each of you, getting to know you more, Heather, learning what aspirations you have, what goals you have if you were to become the next member in District A. And discussing some of the issues that we've had in our county, whether that's economic development, public safety, or education. So I want to thank you all. It's been a pleasure meeting you and learning more about you. I know it's going to be a difficult choice for myself and the rest of the council because we do have 3 great candidates. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Penman. Mr. Giangiordano, anything?
No, I just appreciate you guys all coming out. Unfortunately, I was gone on vacation. I did email you. You all sent me back something. I just tried to get a little extra feedback other than what's on your resume, and I do appreciate you getting back with me on that and your thoughts and ideas on some stuff. So that, along with this and hearing you speak today, it is tough putting yourself out there. So certainly appreciate it. I know you knocked on doors, so you know what it's like. It's a whole different ball game, and it's a different ball game from running and then sitting up here and having to make decisions countywide to, the best of the community and the best of the county. So, it's not just District A, it's District B, C, D, E, and F all together, because whatever we do here reflects the entire county. Growth and crime and everything. So, but I do appreciate everybody coming out, and I appreciate the thoughtful answers and the time you spent. So sorry I wasn't able to meet with you personally. And I won't hold being an Eagles fan against you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Giangiordano. Mr. Riley.
Yes, I just have a couple questions, and so, Heather, on your resume, you talk about, you owned your own business. What was that business?
Home daycare business
Okay.
I had for about 13 years. Cared for up to 8 children at a time and was able to watch a lot of kids grow up and become great students.
The other thing, I noticed you want to support the incorporation of Edgewood. Can you kind of elaborate that on why you want to go there?
I think all of us want to support the incorporation of Edgewood.
Well, you're the only one that put it in your resume, just want to let you know. They were scared too.
Yeah, I think Edgewood has a large population of voters that have a big voice in the district, or in the county. I believe that they have been underserved for a long time and would do better served under their own incorporation. I think it would be a slow rollout, but it can be done eventually.
And you don't live in Edgewood though, right?
Correct. My address is Abingdon, but
Abington.
yeah.
I know, there's no Londa? Is that how you say it? Did they get when you guys interviewed with the Democratic Central Committee, did they have a first, second, and third? I mean, did they rate each of you as who got the most votes, who got the second, who got the third?
Yes.
Can you reveal that, or is that secret?
I think everyone knows, but
Well, we don't know up here.
I got the most votes
Okay.
at 9 out of 10.
And second? Okay.
Just like you see him sitting.
And just let me see. So, Nolanda, you actually ran for office, the actual seat that you're asking to be appointed to.
Yes.
And that weighs heavy with me. I really, it pushes the bar your way because that means you got it here, that you really wanted to run for District A. You said you lost by a narrow margin. Do you have that figure in your head? Because I know how much I won by.
So
I won by 11 votes, so.
I believe it's somewhere like 270 or something like that. I can't recall. I know there was 3 of us that ran together, and the votes that went to that third individual was the votes that I needed to cross the line.
And again, as everybody said, I appreciate all 3 of you putting your families out there. And did you say your husband was a police officer?
Yes, he retired, I think last year, 2023. He's behind me.
And that pushes the needle even further your way with me, you know what I
He
mean?
did 20 years
I'm
in
a
Baltimore
retired police
City.
officer also, so thank you for your service. And thank you for all of you putting your name out there. It's a tough thing to do, and I appreciate you doing it. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Anyone else before we go? If I may, I just want to, one more time, thank you again for your interest. You heard that this is much more involved than what the charter tells you. The charter says this is a part-time job. This is anything but a part-time job. And you talked about communication. Communication is the key to success. Whether you get appointed to this council or not, you need to remember that. Communication and compromise is the key to everything. So this will be considered at our next council meeting, which will be January the 7th at 7:30 in these council chambers. I did speak with the clerk of the court earlier this evening just to try to get an idea of the process that would take place as far as swearing in. Mr. Riley, you could probably speak to that. Why don't you speak to that right now? What you believe Ms. Karzeski will do?
Well, once we vote on you on January 7th, is that when we're doing it?
Yes, sir.
January 7th, we could actually have her there that evening to swear that person in, and they could take their seat.
Okay. And do they have to have anything from the governor's commission or anything like that?
No, because we're doing the appointment.
Okay, very good. All right, well, so that's the process. We're going to leave here this evening. Consider, Mr. Jangerno?
Just the reason Mr. Riley knows that he was clerk of the court for 20 years. In case anybody out there doesn't know that, he's not talking from the cuff. He was clerk of the court for 20 years, that's all.
He was clerk of the court. I did talk to the clerk of the court, just to make sure that we're all together with
Correct.
everything. I think it was Mr. Bennett had asked me to elaborate on the process. So again, after tonight, we'll be considering each of you. We will make that announcement and a vote on the 7th. And if you desire, or if we decide we want to have Ms. Karzeski here, we can absolutely make that a part of the agenda, depending on what her schedule is. So, any other questions before we go?
And could you speak procedurally, because I've had this asked to me a few times, the vote will be somebody motions for a specific candidate and then
Yes,
we
sir.
vote? Not, I'm voting for this person, I'm voting for that person?
No, sir, there'll be a motion made, maybe one or two, I don't know. And then the votes will be taken. Okay? Any other questions before we go?
And just so everybody knows, Jessica will be here, so she'll be part of that
Yes.
vote.
That's one of the reasons why we decided to hold over, as I told each of you when we met. Again, thank you for your consideration and thoughts to serve. With that, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.